How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Beyond Action. This is a continuation episode of how to fix DC. If you haven't seen the past few episodes, then I will be sort of diving into the other ones by trying to come out with these new ideas. But if you're new here, then you know that I just talk about the entertainment industry, anything that has to do with it, really just movies, TV shows, video games. I just like talking about it. And so throughout these past few weeks, I've been talking about how to fix DC, my ideas that I've had. I've written them all down and everything that I just want to get out before James Gunn makes his new DC universe, just to kind of compare what I thought against what he thinks that should happen. So I think that it's very interesting, and I think that without further ado, we should get directly into these ideas because it might be a long episode just like the other ones. In the last episode, I talked about Justice League versus the Legion of Doom, Batman's plans of how to take down the Justice League being perverted against him. And so I just think that coming from that, it would be very interesting to build off of some of those other characters. Like the Justice League, obviously we have Superman, we have Wonder Woman, we have Aquaman, we have all the characters from the Justice League that I think would be very interesting if we looked at the characters and we said, hey, like, now they have some serious trust issues with the League because of what Batman did. We should kind of expand on that. We should kind of bring out Superman and his story of maybe something similar happening to him, so he kind of, like, understands where Batman came from. And so then in the end of these sequels, I would like them to kind of, like, make up with Batman and make up the Justice League again. Obviously, it's just like a fantastical episode, and I can't really go too much into the details because I'm not exactly sure on all the details. I would like this villain for this movie to be General Zod. The second Superman movie would be, the villain would be General Zod because he comes from his Earth. He's someone that he might trust, or he might want to trust as the last survivor of Krypton, and someone that knows what came before. And if you've seen Man of Steel, then you know that he tries to turn Earth into a new Krypton. And I think it would just be very interesting to see that dynamic of Superman kind of like trusting someone again and just like kind of like, hey, he's the last person of my planet. Why don't I just trust him? And it turns out being the wrong thing to do because just Zod, the General Zod, is just a bad guy that just wants to destroy the human race. Then we'd also have a second Green Lantern movie, which in the first one, he fought the Sinestro Corps and the Fear Corps, obviously. And then I would like him to go into more of the Lanterns, kind of like Spider-Man is going like into the Spider-Verse and multiverse type of things. I think that this would be very interesting to kind of explore this different type, like these different types of corps. Maybe Green Lantern has to turn to one of them to beat something. Or maybe it's just a lot of different things that I think that would be very interesting to see Green Lantern, like, one, be in the white Green Lantern suit, maybe be in the yellow Green Lantern suit, maybe even be in the red one. But I think that just having Green Lantern there and just having him present in his own storyline will make it even more interesting. I don't think that we should repeat the same thing with Superman about trusting someone. I just think that having a solo Green Lantern movie where he realizes that it is better to be part of a team will bring back the Justice League in a better way. And then we'd have another Cyborg movie. Obviously, we already gave him a bit of exposition with the last movie. And I think that this movie should be an extraterrestrial threat where we bring out this Cyborg that is kind of like fighting with who he is. And then this is where he leads us to Darkseid, where his connection to the mother box kind of leads him to knowing what a bigger threat is. I also think that having a Martian Manhunter movie would be very interesting in the second phase. Third phase, actually. In this third phase, I think it would be very interesting to see a Martian Manhunter movie because, like, he's just a very interesting character. And I think that if he's done right, he will be a very good character. Obviously, then this will bring him into the Justice League, and we will be fortifying our Justice League as we go, because that's the entire idea of this. We are building up a team, so we have to build up their stories. We have another Wonder Woman movie that I think that, again, I think that Wonder Woman should probably, like, pair up with another superhero. That might be pretty cool to see. Maybe she pairs up with Batman, and so that's kind of cool. Or maybe she pairs up with Superman. Two gods fighting alongside each other, and kind of like trusting each other. And then maybe Batman comes in at the end where they form that original trio that Zack Snyder was forming. But we bring them out in a different way. Instead of just hating each other from the beginning, they lose trust in each other, and then they have to rebuild it. And I think that that's a very good idea. I think it's a very solid idea to kind of break down a bit of the foundation that we had before and kind of build over it to make it better, to always improve the idea of what we are trying to like sell and what we are trying to do with these redemption stories, or maybe these story arcs that will complete each and every character. I think by this point, Batman's story arc is pretty much done. If we would like to do him with any character, it might be another Riddler, it might be Hush. Maybe we could do a villain like that just to bring out another Batman movie. But I think that the Batman movies that I said at the beginning of this like series is more than enough after bringing out like 20 different movies from Batman. I think that just maybe having a few cameos from him and stuff like that would be just the break that Robert Pattinson would need, saying that he would continue on this role. Like I said in the last episode, I would like to expand on the Teen Titans. The Teen Titans are a group that doesn't get enough movie time, or they don't get enough screen time. They obviously have their show, The Titans, on HBO that is coming to an end. They have the Teen Titans show, they have the Teen Titans Go, they have Teen Titans Go the movie and stuff like that. They have all these different shows and all these different movies, but they never have a live action, just grounded movie that I think would be very interesting. And I think that if we follow what the comics say and what the comic accurate movies say, I think that we can make a very good movie where we have the Teen Titans against the Justice League. And here's where we bring in Trigon. Trigon will be very important for the end of this phase. So I think that this would be a great kind of introduction to Trigon, introduction to the Teen Titans. Obviously now we have Damian Wayne in there. We'd have a lot of different superheroes in there, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy. They're kind of already more set up. And so this one would be the second movie in the Teen Titans franchise where they go up against a corrupted Justice League. That I think that would just be very interesting to see on the big screen. Obviously, I think that it's a bit far-fetched, the idea that young people could fight up against gods and basically just the best superheroes on Earth. Batman kind of drugged himself so that he didn't fight against them because he knew he was going to be too overpowered. But so you have all of this going on that they're just going to be fighting each other. And I think that it would just be a very good background to Raven, the one that we didn't give her in the movie before, because hey, we have 6 characters that we have to be giving a background for. So I think that it would be very interesting to bring them out like this. I think that having that, we might have Cyborg come down into the Teen Titans, or maybe he goes up into the Justice League being promoted. One of the two really works out. I'm not really a fan of Cyborg being part of the Justice League because I just think that Cyborg is meant to be a bit more of a comedic superhero. Obviously, there are those people that disagree, knowing what Cyborg has been through. Obviously, you don't want him to be the most comedic superhero of all time, but I do think that he is a interesting enough character that he can be in the Justice League. And so I just think that he can be in the Justice League, but I just think that it would be so much more interesting to pair him up with the Teen Titans and just kind of lower his level of intellect to a dumb Cyborg level. That would make him a lot more fun, and he has a great dynamic with Beast Boy. So I think that having Cyborg come down to their level would be great. I think that we've had this timeline for long enough, and I think that we should then finish off this timeline with a Flashpoint movie. Yes, I know that we already have Ezra Miller's Flashpoint movie, which seems to be a very good movie. I'm getting my hopes up because I really do want this to be a good movie, and I really just want it to surprise everyone, and I want it to be the beginning of a new good DC. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy around this movie, but I just think that bringing in the Flashpoint paradox would be a very good movie, a very good segue into the next part of this franchise, which will almost be concluded with this phase. But I just think that having a Flashpoint movie where it is comic accurate, he goes back in time, meets Thomas Wayne, does all of these different things. Not like the Flash show. Obviously, I said that we'd bring the Grant Gustin Flash, but I think that we should just keep him out of Flashpoint for a bit and then bring in this new Grant Gustin Flash and have him go throughout like everything that Flashpoint goes throughout. So we have the new Batman, Cyborg, we have a malnourished Superman, we have everything that just happens, the World War III. Anything goes in this Flashpoint timeline, and I think that it would be super cool to just translate it to live action. So if you know anything about the Flashpoint storyline, then you know Barry travels back in time, saves his mom from dying, and so this opens up a whole new timeline where everything just goes wrong, and at the end of the movie, he runs back in time to go fix it, basically kill his mom again. And so he goes back in time, fixes everything, and so then now they're in like this new timeline, or they think that they're in the same timeline, but now they are in a different timeline. And I think that that would be very interesting to tell the story of. I think that the next movie should be Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. If you've seen the movie and you know what I'm talking about, then I just think that this would be a really good big movie to finish off this third phase of the franchise. I guess I'd say just a really big Avengers level movie or a big Justice League type of movie where there this like small blame to put on the Flash because he ran back in time and did all of this. And then you have all like everything just coming together just to finish off this phase. I think would be a very beautiful thing to see. So you have the Flash, he realizes that it was his issue, so he's not being too comedic. But we also have the Teen Titans helping, so they're being the comedic like background. And so we just have this huge event where we have all the magic users, Dr. Fate, Zatanna, and Constantine. Then we have the Justice League. Then we have the Teen Titans. We have an entire arsenal of superheroes going up against Apocalypse, which is like Darkseid's planet. We have a Justice League that have found their feet again and that they're back together. So now we have this big fight and this big payoff of 3 phases just going up against each other. And at the end, I would like Darkseid, like at the beginning of the movie or middle of the movie, I would like Darkseid to win. And like in Dark Apocalypse War, maybe instead of what in one movie, we could maybe spread it out into 2 parts, part 1 and part 2. The first part where Darkseid wins, where the team as a whole finds out about Darkseid, and so they have to find out a plan. They call upon all the members of the Justice League, even the Teen Titans. They call upon everyone to try to fight this threat, Swamp Thing, everything. If there is like a Swamp Thing type of movie, then if there's not, then the Suicide Squad. Any person that can that wants to save the planet and wants to fight up against Darkseid, I think that this would be a very interesting movie to put. They go up against Darkseid, get their asses handed to them, kind of like they do in the original like movie where they all become like android robots and stuff like that. And then Superman gets liquid kryptonite injected into him. I think that would be very interesting. And then we see that fallout in the second part of this movie. I just think that having that type of Superman broken down, Raven is weak now. You have Damian being the leader of the League of Assassins. We have this whole entire storyline that instead of like just doing one big movie about, we can flesh it out into 2 big movies. And so you have like a Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame type of movies where you have this big payoff at the end where everyone at the end is not being able to accept what happened to them. They lost really badly. And the Flash is the only person that is actually whole. So he has to make a new Flashpoint. And that is where this phase would end. So the Flash runs back in time and then he tries to fix everything. But obviously you can't fix the timeline anymore. Then it already is broken. And so the Flash, instead of fixing the timeline, he breaks it even more. And this is where I had the very interesting idea of combining a lot of different stories that are told throughout the comic books and make it into one continuous timeline, one that we can all follow and one that we can all appreciate, instead of reading comic book number 1 and then comic book number 50 being a completely different storyline. We follow the Flash as he's running back in time trying to fix things. Let me just kind of give you a bit of context before I say the next movie that is going to come. In the 4th phase of this, like, how to fix DC, the Flash runs back in time, he gets back out, and so now he realizes that the Joker is alive, that Darkseid still hasn't attacked, so that's good. Everything's good right there. So now he's just kind of like trying to get back used to normal life. Everything is just normal. As far as he can tell, everything seems normal, except for a few people that died are now alive. A few villains that died might be alive. The Justice League is still all together. They are going to go up against the Legion of Doom. Maybe. I don't really know, but everything seems normal. Up until the point where Superman tells Batman that Lois is pregnant. If you have heard about this storyline, then you probably know where I'm going with this. Then you have Batman obviously knowing that Superman is going to say that. Like, who do you think he is? Batman is just Batman. And so they kind of go throughout this whole like story of telling the Justice League and like having this big party about them. And while they're celebrating all of this, there's trouble in Metropolis, and now Superman has to go and save the day like he always does. He goes into this abandoned sink liner, maybe something around those lines, where he is sprayed with a ton of fear toxin infused with kryptonite. And so he sees Doomsday. He takes him all the way up to space and to get him out of there, maybe throw him into the sun. And then you see that Batman realizes what is going on. The fear toxin is just making him see something that he would fear, not something that is actually there. And so it turns out that Superman accidentally just killed Lois Lane, obviously his wife, and the mother of his daughter, of his children. Don't even know if it would have been a boy or a girl, but she's dead. They're both dead. And so right when Lois dies, there is a dead man switch that blows up Metropolis with a nuke. And so you find out that the perpetrator behind this is the Joker, and everyone in the Justice League just can't really believe what's happening. But you know how Batman is. He believes that every life is sacred and that we should save everyone instead of killing the villains. We should save them and rehabilitate them. Superman doesn't believe in that anymore. Now that his wife is dead and now that everything that he loved is gone, he wants to get revenge on the Joker, which you see two sides of this. And I think that it would be very interesting to do like a Civil War type of thing where you actually do a good Batman versus Superman. If you've already caught on to what storyline I'm talking about the Injustice storyline, where we will go into Batman being the insurgency and trying to fight the regime Superman killing Joker and getting a knack for killing and wanting to kill anyone that has done anything illegal or plans to do anything illegal, and Batman just trying to stop him from being a dictator. So you have this whole entire storyline that's kind of like just going into the whole Injustice and Injustice 2. And so you just have Batman versus Superman. Basically, you have Damian Wayne becoming the new Robin, but he becomes the new like Red Nightwing because he accidentally kills Dick Grayson. And you just have a lot of emotional scenes in this. I feel like it'd be very interesting to see because we've already built up their relationship. We've already shown Batman and Superman being best friends. They're in the same group and everything. And now the Justice League breaks apart because of a decision that Superman took that Batman cannot take. And so now Batman has to make his whole team to go up against Superman. Obviously, seems like an impossible threat up until the end where he brings in a Superman from a different universe. And then the two Superman fight. Basically, you just follow what was said in the movie as a basic outline, and then you get what was made in the video game as a actual storyline and you make it live action, I think that would be a really interesting movie, because a lot of people already know what happens, but they also want to see it. They don't just want to be playing it. They want to be seeing, like, oh, this is very tense. This is very, like, like, you have Batman finding out that there are other doppelganger Batmans, and so he has to fight against himself to kind of like let him help. And then you have just all of this loss of hope that then this new group of superheroes comes in and gives to the insurgency. And so you just have a lot of different things that I think that can be expanded over this entire movie. And then I think to close off this movie, we go into a end credit scene where we show Supergirl. Obviously, if you know Injustice 2, you know that Supergirl is very important to Injustice. And I think that telling her story will be something very interesting. Obviously, it's very hard to tell her story because apparently in Injustice 2, her story starts whenever she lands on Earth. But I think that it's just very interesting to show what life on Krypton was like before, since she is older than Clark. Well, supposed to be older than Clark. She goes into like a black hole or something like that kind of like makes them the same age. But so she comes out and now she can't believe how everything is. But there has to be a before that. There has to be something that Supergirl went through, like Brainiac, for example. And I think that would be the perfect intro to Brainiac. We have Supergirl going through an entire like midlife crisis, trying to figure out like, hey, like I am stranded in space and I was supposed to protect my cousin. Also, that this movie can build up Supergirl, make her a likable character, make her a very gullible character, so that when she comes into our solar system and she comes into our planet and is greeted by Black Adam and Wonder Woman in Kahndaq, she can kind of like befriend them and be their friend and just be a second Kryptonian to try to get Superman out of jail. And then you have everything that just like happens in Injustice 2. Then like here we would have the Injustice 2 movie where just everything that happens in Injustice 2 without the introduction of Supergirl. You have Superman escaping prison because obviously Supergirl comes in, Wonder Woman comes in. You have everyone getting back together in a way. There's still tension there, but you have everyone getting back together. The Flash realizes how wrong he was joining the regime. You have everyone just realizing that Superman isn't such a great guy. Even her cousin realizing that he wasn't such a great guy. And so, you have all of these people like trying to kind of like fight each other, trust each other. And then they see that there is a bigger threat coming their way. The bigger threat being Brainiac, like we would have shown in the Supergirl movie. Now we have a Brainiac that is bloodthirsty and wants to take out Supergirl and every last Kryptonian and then take Earth for his own. And we have that storyline where the Justice League have to form again to go up against Brainiac. Superman fakes his death in a way. Well, he actually, I don't really know how that worked. He kind of like just got zapped by Brainiac but survived. And so they go into Brainiac's ship, fight Brainiac, beat Brainiac. And then here's where the moral dilemma comes back. You have Superman wanting to kill Brainiac against Batman that wants him to be spared because, hey, Batman doesn't kill people, not even if they're from a different planet. And so Batman will like try to defend Brainiac and try to get it like, he doesn't exactly defend him, but he doesn't want to kill him. And so, they have their differences and then they decide to fight. I think that for the sake of this movie being able to be continued a lot better, I think that we should give the ability of winning to Batman. Obviously, in the game, you can pick who you want to fight as, and if you fight as Batman, you get the Batman storyline. If you fight as Superman, then you get Superman winning and his storyline. But I just think that it is a very interesting thing to see. Batman banishing Superman into the Phantom Zone. Then we have Kara now being a part of the new Justice League. Wonder Woman being in jail. Everything just that happens in the second Injustice storyline just kind of coming into fruition. All of this kind of sets up like a multiverse type of thing. In my opinion, just like time travel and doing all of this just kind of will set up everything perfectly for this next. And the most exciting part for me of this fourth phase is the darkest movie that I think that we could do, one where we could bring back Batman, like a Batman solo movie type of thing, where we bring back a dark version of Batman, where, you know, the world is okay up until Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, and then while he's Batman, he goes up against the Joker, gets sprayed with the laughing gas that the Joker gives, and so now he becomes the Batman who laughs. I think that would be a very interesting movie to set up. I think that setting up the Batman who laughs as the big bad of this fourth phase or even fifth phase would be really well. It would be really well done, because obviously you have Batman being one of the most skilled and intelligent people on the planet, combined with the Joker's natural killer instinct and his villain like part of him, that just like kind of screams, wow, this is gonna be an incredible like type of conflict where you won't see it anywhere else. And then you're gonna have obviously Batman and Superman having to combat this. Even if Batman like banished Superman into the Phantom Zone, I think that it would be very interesting to see our Batman being banished into the Phantom Zone too, maybe by the Joker, maybe by the Batman who laughs, that will then go into there. And now Batman and Superman will fight. They'll figure out how to make up for their differences, and then they will try to fight the Batman who laughs again. Obviously, all of this is a super down the line storyline. This is up to how much I have. I will probably be writing more, and maybe I will make a follow-up episode on this. But if you have enjoyed my ideas on how to fix DC and you would like to hear me talk more about these, then definitely do write down a comment. That would very much help me to know if you guys want to just hear a bit more about my insanity. If you guys would like me to tell maybe every movie instead of give a summary, maybe like make it a bit more of a movie like type of storyline where I can read it to you guys and maybe you guys can visualize it a bit more. Yes, a lot of this does come from comics and movies and stuff that I've seen before, but I think that just the fact that DC still hasn't used their greatest weapon is something that is crazy. With that being said, then you should definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that little bell so that you get notified whenever I do upload on this channel. And hey, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, type down a comment down below saying that you enjoyed it and if you'd like me to continue this or how you'd like me to continue this series. And thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.